Hi everyone, this is Lisa Falcon G with Universal Hidden Insight and the Self Beyond. And today I wanted to talk about healing. And this is something that I've talked a lot about for the past 3 years. I would say this has been one of my central missions, not only for myself, but to, learn all the methods of healing so that I can help other people. So there's a couple things that I've just recently kind of come back into, remembering how important they are, and I just wanted to do an overview today. This is something that I'm going to do a workshop on soon, as soon as the weather gets better. I just don't want to schedule one and have, a big ice storm or something. Um, but all this stuff is really important, and some of it might seem really basic, but it's something that I want to share with you guys. Hopefully it'll be useful. So I recently watched this documentary that's a newer documentary on Netflix. It's called Heal, and it was a really great thing for me. I kind of made me remember some things that are fundamental to this type of work when you're focusing on healing yourself, and it also kind of helped me to just refocus. So, there's different levels of healing. There's some people who are trying to emotionally heal. There's some of us that are trying to kind of do psychological healing. And then there's some of us who are trying to heal physical things. And I think a lot of times we look at those things as separate endeavors. If we're trying to heal our body, we're going to look at only doing physical things to heal our body. If we're trying to heal maybe our mind, we might only be doing physical or, mental things with our mind. So all these systems are connected, and an emotional issue can become a mental issue, and then that can eventually, if not dealt with, become a physical issue, which is the case with a lot of us. So I'm well aware that there's many of us who have, different degrees of trauma and pain from our past that we haven't properly dealt with. So that's something that I've been focusing on for the past couple of years, and it's tough. It's a hard road to go through. And that is a big part of the reason that I felt so inspired to write, my second book, The Self Beyond. I really wanted to help offer people kind of a little bit of a field guide, some really helpful pointers and support through that journey, because it's such an elusive thing to come into healing. And I don't think it's something where, you do XYZ and then boom, you're there, and now you don't need to do any more work anymore. I think that it's a lifelong thing. I think you're going to constantly be working towards your healing, and that's the point, So anybody who says, "Oh, I've totally healed myself," they're probably not exactly telling the truth, or there's something that they're overlooking. And it's interesting to me because the more that I work on my healing, I feel almost like the more work that I have to do. It's like this endless bucket. But that's okay, that's why we developed the self tools, and that's why I wanted to offer so much in the way of self tools to help people. And it's just going through the steps. It's a daily practice of refocusing on all these things. So I'm going to jump into this. It is something, like I said, I'm going to do a workshop on. I'd love to have as many people come as possible. I love getting face-to-face time with people where it's interactive and where we can engage together and open up some dialogues about this stuff. That seems to be one of the most effective ways. All right, so some of the things I've been refocusing on are gratitude, the power of gratitude. So I just had to kind of remember how powerful that state of being is. And if you think about it, if you're not feeling good, if you're having lots of tough situations going on, or if you have especially a physical, like a chronic physical issue that's happening, think about the state of mind that you would be in during that episode. You're going to be pretty much feeling sorry for yourself. You're going to say, "Oh, this is awful. This always happens to me. Why is this happening to me?" And it's like the opposite of gratitude. That's where you're at. But gratitude really opens up the door, and that's one of the most healing frequencies you can be on. So one of the things I've just been reminding myself to do is when I start going down that path of telling myself, "Oh, this is awful, why does this happen to me, like, why me," whatever it is, I try to catch myself and I try to replace it with listing gratitude, things I'm grateful for. So it seems really cheesy, but you wouldn't believe how powerful it is and how much it works. You can go through and just start with the basics. I'm so glad that I'm alive. I might be in pain, but I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad that I have a place to live. I'm glad that I have food. I'm so grateful that I have a bed. I'm so grateful that I have, clean clothes. They're mostly clean. the list is endless, and if you use that as often as possible, it really does transform your life in many ways. Um, One of the other really important things that I had to reflect on is that it's important to create an internal picture of wellness. And so, what I mean by that is anybody who has, especially people who have had a chronic issue in their life, whether that's like an emotional or mental issue or a physical, definitely a physical issue is really tough. Um, Not that it's harder, but that's tough as well. But you start to create this internal picture of yourself that identifies with and personalizes this as part of who you are. So you almost don't know who you are outside of being sick like that, you know? So when you think of yourself and you're visualizing yourself as that sick person. And as you start to go through the healing work, it negates all of it if you consistently go back to that picture of yourself, that unhealed person that you hopefully were, and are, transforming yourself into a healed person. So that's so important that you go in and that you start to create a really realistic vision for yourself of an internal picture of wellness, of health, that my body is healthy, my cells are healthy, my heart is healthy, my emotions are healthy, all of these, aspects that are connected. So start to work on doing that if you're not doing that already. Meditation, that's been something really, really powerful for me. I know that not everybody does that. And I know that's something that's really tricky for some people to get into. I think most people, when they, we weren't raised to just sit in quiet. That was a punishment. Go sit in timeout, and we were like, oh, I don't want to. So it's not anything that we really choose to do, but it's so important that we are able to be with ourselves with a lack of kind of all this outer stimuli, to allow ourselves to be at peace within ourselves. Because if we can't be at peace there within ourselves, with nothing else giving us, our happiness or our fulfillment or love or acceptance or validation, then we're never truly going to experience any of those things. You have to be able to create that within yourself first, and there is an infinite well of that all available for you once you can start tapping in. And for people who really struggle with being able to meditate, that's something that I went to great lengths to kind of help provide some great little tips and tools and tricks in my book, The Self Beyond. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm definitely, one of the most active people. I don't usually stop thinking, so it's ultra reverse state of being for me to come into like that peaceful, calm state, and it did take a while. So powerful though, because it helps reduce your stress. It helps your whole body responds to that, just like when we're in a stress state, we're going to release cortisol, we're going to release all those hormones that are bad for us, that are going to make us sick, that are going to make us fat, that are going to make us, all these things that we don't necessarily want to be. So reducing stress is one of the big name of the game things that you want if you're trying to heal yourself, really heal yourself. One of the big revelations that I've recently kind of come into is that there is a deep intelligence that created this body, right? There's a deep intelligence that created your body, and it moves through us, it works through us, and it can heal us. The same intelligence that created us can heal us. So that's something within you. It's embedded within every molecule of your being, regardless of what you believe. And I don't think it really matters what you call that. I think it just matters that you understand in your own language that exists within you. And if you don't believe that, look at what happens, with the placebo effect. And that gets written off a lot. And I know I've actually written it off myself, like, oh, it's just, in their head. But think about what that means. They take a study where they have, if they're testing a new drug, they'll have a control group that doesn't receive anything. They'll have a group that receives the new drug. And then they'll have a group where it's a placebo. They get a sugar pill or whatever. And in these studies, over and over, 40, 60, 80% of the people that receive this placebo, that's nothing, they'll still heal. And that's incredible. Think about what that means. That means that within us is a mechanism that can heal us, an intelligence that can bring us into balance. And it really is connected to what we think about what's happening. So that's incredibly powerful, that brings intention into play, that brings visualization into play. And speaking of visualization, think about how your body, our body can't tell the difference between us imagining something and experiencing something, or at least our mind can't. Um, so if you are imagining some horrible situation, the same areas of your brain, light up as if you were actually experiencing it. And in that way, we can continually re-traumatize ourselves if we're not careful. So for me, I had a long time chronic issue, which I'm learning to have better conscious language about, and how I speak about it, because I don't want to continue to remanifest it, because you can do all this healing work and you can, get to a place where you really are mostly better, but then you can re-trigger it. You can re-traumatize yourself and remanifest it all over again, just by continuing to imagine, what used to happen. So that's very powerful too. What else do I got? Let's see here. Understanding the gut-brain connection, that's a really big one. So understanding the links between diet and disease. I think that's one of the biggest ways that I started to take control of my own health. Definitely with my physical, but it had a lot of, spiritual side effects. I don't know what else to call it. Changing what's happening in your gut does change what's happening in your brain, and it is connected to your emotions. For instance, your liver. If we're eating a lot of carbs, complex carbs like breads and pasta, and I'm not talking about gluten, issues. I'm just talking about those heavy complex carbs. It's not good for our liver, and our liver doesn't like that. And our liver is connected to anger. So, we need to be eating broccoli, leafy greens, spinach, kale, all that stuff that most of us kind of cringe at thinking about eating, but it's incredibly good for you, and it can make a big difference in what's happening in your body and how you're actually feeling. That's incredible. It can help you restore your focus, it can help you restore your energy. So, I always say get back to basics. When you don't know exactly what to do, eat well, sleep well, make sure you're doing all your self-care routine. And it's important to create a daily routine and kind of stick to it. Have a daily practice, whether it's wake up, drink water, meditate for 5-10 minutes, eat some fruit. It's just have a routine and create one for yourself. That's really, and stick to it, and it's not always going to create a big, huge change right away. Just like anything, it can take weeks, it can take months. It depends on what you're working through. But yes, so if you're looking for more on this, I strongly recommend this book, The Self Beyond. It's on Amazon. I feel like this is really bad lighting. I poured my heart and soul into this. This was something that I literally wrote on the heels of one of the biggest healing transformations that I went through in my life, and all that wisdom that I could put into words, I put in this. So if I could give away a copy to every person, I truly would. Again, it's on Amazon, and you can check it out on my website as well at universalhiddeninsight.weebly.com. Don't forget to check out my first book, which I just re-released, Universal Hidden Insight. This is the revised Master's Edition. It's got new material in it. Again, bad lighting. I'm so sorry, you guys. This is the sunlight shining on me, and that's what's happening. So both books are awesome. I love doing what I do. I do this to make a difference in the world. I think that we all want to know that what we're going through is going to be something that can be useful to other people, or that's definitely, my motivation, that I want to take all these things that I'm going through and use it to make the world a better place. So I hope you all have a blessed and wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time.